longest your hair has ever been, Miss Black Beauty? And you're the stylist. Do you do most of your clients have length goals? What up, Kay? Kay, you in the right class, girl. This is not gonna be a full on class, but we will do some learning. You is finna learn around here. Kay, do you have length goals for this year? Do you have length goals for this year, Kay? Hey, boss. Hey, Facebook. Hey, YouTube. Happy Wednesday. Yes, I do. I know that's right. I often have to remind my clients that if you are looking for length and density, right? If you're looking to grow your hair longer and if you are looking for your hair to be fuller, to start, you have to just pick one, right? Pick one to focus on. And depending on which of the two you choose, that's what we start working on first. And that oftentimes requires like a huge change, right? So when clients choose density over length, that means we're doing a big chop, right? We're doing a hefty cut. When they choose length over density, they have to understand that the density is going to take significantly longer. Ms. Black Beauty, clients always want the kind of hair that they do not have right now, right? They always want longer, thicker hair. But usually, Ms. Black Beauty, and Kay, I don't know if I said this to you when we first started working together, but usually I will tell a client, especially that first visit, when they tell me that they have a length goal, when I get you to the length that you desire, don't ask me to cut your hair, because that's usually what happens, right? They get bored. They're not interested anymore in how long in growing their hair because they've hit their goal, and they want to go on and do a big chop, which is fine. Do your big chop, right? I'm in 100% in support of you doing your big chop, but do not ask me after I put all of my blood, sweat, and tears into helping you grow your hair, into helping it look, be healthy, look healthy, and all that, to then turn around and cut it. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But yeah. All right, we ready? Something is wrong. Something is wrong with this. I'm gonna get off of this live, and then I'm gonna come back in on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm gonna come out of this live, and then I'm gonna come back in. Hey Facebook, hey YouTube. We gotta try and figure out what's going on with me. Maybe I should. We got to figure out what's going on with Instagram, and then we can get started. How are you? For now, do you want to drop your name, where you're from, and if you're new or if you're an OG around here? Facebook, YouTube. Tell the people if you're new, if you're an OG, your name and where you're from. If you're new around here, you've been rocking with us for less than a year. If you're an OG, you've been rocking with us for more than a year. Hey, Facebook. Hey, YouTube. Mikeia. Come on, Callie. I'm so glad you're here. Did I say your name correctly? Is it Mikeia? Hey, boss. What up, Miss Rochelle? Hey, boss. Happy Wednesday. Can everybody hear me now? There we go. There we go. Okay. Are we ready? We ready? Markia. Okay, I did say your name correctly. I love that. Okay, I'm going to introduce myself for anyone who does not know. My name is Ebony K. I'm the owner of Textured Press, and what I do is teach women every single thing I know about healthy hair. And one of my favorite things to do is teach you just how simplistic it can be for you to have a huge boost of confidence because you are continuously hitting your healthy hair goals. Okay, that's my name. I'm a BX girly. That's what and you know what I do, right? We're going to talk today about length goals, right? Hitting our length goals and how simplistic it can be, honestly, to hit your length goals, right? So I've broken it down. I talked about this the other day, but I've been behind the chair for almost 20 years now. And uh, I pride myself in being able to help my clients hit their healthy hair goals, right? Sometimes that's length, sometimes that's more density. And in working with clients for the past almost 20 years, a couple of things are a common thread. And the way that you get to your length goals, right? The way that you start to retain more length is pretty simplistic. The real big challenge is going to be the first piece. Okay. So the first piece about today is going to be the hardest part. I break it down into an acronym, which is CBD, right? 3 simple steps to get to start retaining more length. CBD. You can guess what the CBD stands for, what the acronym stands for. I don't know, and yeah. Who can guess what the acronym stands for? Okay, you got your water? Nobody? I don't know. It's a totally acceptable answer around here, but okay, what about the B and the D? Kay says that the C stands for cut. What about the B and the D? Candy says condition. What about the B and the D, Candy? Mikea? Do you want to try balance? Okay. Okay, we're gonna do this one at a time. Mikea, do you want to take a stab at it? Mikea says I'm not sure. Okay, that's fair. Okay, CBD stands for consistency, balance, and diet, right? Goal is very simple. The hard part is creating the consistency, maintaining the balance, and sticking to a diet that is conducive to your healthy hair goals. The steps are simple. The consistency part is the challenge usually, making sure that you hit you are listening to your hair enough to create that balance for your hair, and then making sure that you are putting in your body things that support your length goals. Okay, let's talk about consistency first. Who here has ever either done or would like to do a wash and go? Hey, Miss Lady. Who here has ever done or has ever been interested in doing a wash and go? Candy, not you. Kay, have you ever done a wash and go? You done wash and goes, Kay? Hey, Miss Lady. Okay. What about box braids? Box braids, knotless braids. Any of us? This lady says I'm a straight hair natural. Does that mean that you don't do any other styles? I see. What about box braids? Box braids, knotless braids, knotless braids? Okay. I have worn them, but prefer to wear my hair straight. Okay, that's fair. Miss Lady 89 is a straight hair natural also. Let's talk for a second about box braids or knotless braids. Okay? Box braids, knotless braids. Do you think that to hit your healthy hair goal, right? I feel like I've heard this on the internet trending, but you tell me what you think. Do you think that it makes the most sense to your length goals, right? To constantly keep your hair in braids, maybe for a year, 2 years, 4 years, in order for you to hit your length goals? Do you think it's important for you to constantly be in braids, excuse me, knotless braids, box braids, in an effort to hit your length goals? Candy, Micaiah, not anymore. There was a time where we thought that. That's fair. For a lot of us, we think that, right? For a lot of us, we think if I don't put any hair heat on my for a year, 2 years, 3 years, my hair will continue constantly straighten my hair, constantly trim my hair, then that'll put me much closer to my length goals. I'm going to tell you that being consistent, creating a rhythm, right? Creating a rhythm is much better than constantly doing anything to your hair. Miss Lady, right? We've learned this the hard way, but I would prefer for Miss Lady to say, okay, every summer I'm going to do more protective styles, but when it's not summertime, I'm gonna mix doing wash and goes, and maybe a sew and weave, and being a straight hair natural. Right? I'm going to be consistent with making sure there's a rotation for how my hair is styled, as opposed to constantly being straight, as opposed to constantly being in braids, as opposed to constantly wearing a wig. Okay? Being consistent and creating rhythm is going to be much more conducive. It's going to put you much closer, to your length retention goals than constantly doing anything. Constantly doing wash and goes is also going to negatively impact how your hair reacts, setting you back for length retention. Okay. You need to be consistent, but you don't have to be constant. The same with your trims. Okay, there's a difference between being consistent, creating a rhythm, and being constant. Right? That rapid fire, that rapid repetition. Right? Trimming your hair every 6 to 8 weeks is not going to help you hit your length retention goals so much as doing a trim every 3 months or every 4 months, but making sure that you stick to that regimen. Okay? Does that connect? Does that connect? The difference between being constant and being consistent, right? Creating a rhythm, allowing your hair to be able to predict what's going to be coming next. Does that track? We all on the same page about how that is going to be helpful to your healthy hair goals? Being consistent, making sure that you are not skipping your trim schedule, making sure that you are not leaving your protective styles in for far longer than they need to be in. Right? Be consistent as opposed to being constant. Okay? What do we know about constantly staying in wash and goes? What's a negative for constantly doing wash and goes? How often should we be trimming? So Ms. Lady, here's my rule. My rule is that your trim schedule is 100% subjective to where you are and what your goal is, right? So it's someone who's Ms. Lady, here's why I have to say that it's subjective to the client, right? So let's say Kay is a straight hair natural. Let's say we'll take you for instance, Ms. Lady, right? You are a straight hair natural, but Kay does twist outs and braid outs a lot more often. She'll do her occasional straight hairstyle, but she does twist outs and braid outs a lot more often. Do you two need the same trim schedule? Does someone who is a straight hair natural, right? Does Miss Lady, who is a straight hair natural, need to be on the same trim schedule as Kay, who is consistently, excuse me, with Kay, who is consistently switching up her hairstyles? No. So it's not just a one flat answer, right? Any stylist that tells you everyone should be getting their hair trimmed every 6 to 8 weeks, I would question, or at the very least, I would question the idea behind that. But if it were me, I would be challenging it. Okay. No, every client is the same. And so because of that, my rule is it is subjective, right? It's based on the client, but at the very least, Miss Lady, do your best to sit in a professional's chair at least every 3 months so that this way he or she can take a look at your hair and tell you just how well you've done since your last trim and what they suggest for your next trim, right? Sometimes my clients can go, I've seen clients go almost 8 months between trends, right? Because it, honestly, it's because they were consistent with their appointments, right? And so they allowed me the opportunity to decide when they needed moisture versus protein, but also that client took care of their hair in between appointments, right? So it made it easier for me to be able to determine what her hair needed and to be able to give exactly what her hair needed, right? So at the very least, every 3 months, sit in a professional's chair and have them take a look at your hair and see exactly what your and give you feedback on what your hair has been doing since your last trim and give you guidance as to when your next trim should be. Okay. So consistency, we had that down packed. We should be switching up our hairstyles, right? Three main hairstyles is usually, hey Mish, three main hairstyles is usually what I suggest for my clients to be able to do on their own. One of them should not be a ponytail. None of them should be a ponytail. Okay, you're so very welcome, boss. If you want to be able to be more independent, if you want to be able to manage your hair better yourself on your own, you really just need three hairstyles that you can execute on your own. Okay, it could be Bantu knots, it could be twist out, braid out, it could be a silk press, right? It could be a protective style, it could be a sew and weave, it could be, braiding or plaiting or twisting your hair to be up underneath a wig. But styling your hair, at least perfecting three different styles, is going to be really helpful to you being a lot more independent than more dependent on a lot more independent from salons than way more dependent on a stylist. Okay. Switching between long-term and short-term protective styles is also really helpful. Okay. Definitely try the Bantu knots. And if you do decide to try the Bantu knots, Candy, I would suggest doing them on blow dried or stretched hair. Why do I suggest blow dried or stretched hair? Anybody? I mean, honestly, I would suggest it for braid outs and twist outs too. Hey, Priscilla, I would suggest it for braid outs and twist outs too. But for Bantu knots, why do you think I would suggest to do it on stretched hair? You're not late, boss. This is an impromptu live. So that it doesn't take forever to dry, right? But it's also a lot more consistent in terms of texture, right? You preserve the stretch. Yes. It's a lot more consistent in terms of texture. So you don't have to try and guess, if one section is going to have more texture than the other. I'm natural, so I would think it gives more length. And it also gives more length, 100%. 100%. Hey, Miss Love Music. You use the balance kit when you don't know. So Miss Love Music is asking, I see you have different kits. When do you suggest using the balance kit? The balance kit is for anyone who does not know what their hair needs, right? So let's say Mish is like, yo, I've finished all of my products, right? I don't know what shampoo and conditioner should I be using? What kit should I purchase next? If you have no idea what your hair needs and you and I have never met each other, I would suggest the balance kit because it gives you both what and what. It gives you both what and what. The balance kit specifically gives you both what and what. Moisture and protein, right? Your protein is going to be coming from your shampoo. Your moisture is going to be coming from your conditioner. And then you're going to get a super light form of moisture in your leave-in conditioner. 100%, Mish. 100%. And Miss Love Music, I'm glad that you asked this question because that's our segue, right? So C in CBD is going to be for consistency. The B is going to be for what, Candy? The B is going to be for what, Priscilla? Tell the girls on Facebook and YouTube. Hey, Gigi. Tell the girls on Facebook and YouTube. There we go. There we go, Candy. For balance. Balance. Why is balance important? Why is balance important? Because you need the moisture and you also need the strength, right? I often refer to it as having a two-parent household, right, Jennifer? So a two-parent household oftentimes have one parent who you can go to for all your hugs, your kisses, the mushy, you got one, right? And then you have the other parent who is the disciplinarian, who don't really play and is going to keep things strict and run a tight ship, right? The balance between the balance of the two, allows for a really healthy, productive, balanced human being in society, right? And so the balance in giving your hair moisture, giving your hair softness, giving your hair flexibility, right? Makes it easy for your hair to be styled, makes it easy for your hair to flow, makes it easy for your hair to not be so resistant that it's easy to break, right? Hair that is moisturized moves a lot more freely, right? Hair that is moisturized is a lot more flexible. But when hair is stiff, right, and brittle and dry, what happens? What happens when hair is stiff, brittle, and dry? Jennifer, Priscilla, there we go. Breakage. It breaks, Candy. 100%. 100%. Especially think about this now, right? In the winter. Because the air is cold and the air is dry, right, on the trees? Because the air is cold and the air is dry, it makes it a lot easier, Chantel, for your hair to be easy to break. Okay? So in the winter, especially, you want to lean more into what to avoid breakage? Hey, boss. In the wintertime, you want to lean more into what so that this way you avoid breakage because your hair is not stiff. Exactly, Priscilla. Exactly, Candy. Okay, some of my favorite moisture focused products: the Joico Moisture Recovery Shampoo, the Joico Moisture Recovery Conditioner. If you're on a tight budget, if your money a little funny, right? One of the other brands that I really like is Herbal Essences Hello Hydration, and then Aphagie's Moisture Focused Shampoo and Conditioner. Okay, if we're looking for moisture, especially in the winter months. What are two ways that you can increase the way that your hair retains moisture at home? What are two ways at home that you can create an area for your hair to retain more flexibility, to retain and hold on to more softness. I can think of a few, but if you can just tell me two, I'll be happy with just two. Not at home, Kay. I love a steam treatment in the salon, but not at home. What are two ways? That can be helpful, but how are you going to implement the moisture so that it's not rubbing off on cotton? I love steam treatments, Priscilla, but not at home. Here are two ways that you can easily at home. You can do it today. You can do it today. Okay. Here are two ways that you can easily start to retain more moisture. The first one is probably going to sound weird. The second one, you're going to be like, oh, I knew that one. The first one is going to be using a clarifying shampoo. That is a good way, Chantel. Chantel said add glycerin. That is 100% a good way. 100%, my Kia. But why do you think using a clarifying shampoo, right? A shampoo that strips your hair. Why do you think a clarifying shampoo is going to be helpful in helping you retain moisture? I don't know is a totally acceptable answer around here. Just please don't make me talk to myself. No guess, not one guess. There you go, Priscilla. There you go, Priscilla. Exactly, Jennifer. There we go, my Kia. Okay, so here's what the girls are saying, Candy. Okay, it gives a clean slate. It removes the barrier to allow moisture to penetrate the hair. Priscilla says to remove any debris or products blocking the hair's ability to absorb better. 100%. 100%. If you use a clarifying shampoo, and not to say that this needs to be used every single wash day, right? We're all on the same page about that. We should not be using a clarifying shampoo every wash day. But if you are consistent with using a clarifying shampoo, that will make it significantly easier for your hair to absorb moisture, especially when you're using a moisture-focused product, afterward. Okay? You should be using a moisture-focused or a hydrating shampoo immediately after you use a clarifying shampoo. We know that that's the rule, yes? There's about 15 of us on between these lives. I need 15 yeses. Please don't make me nervous. We all know that that's the rule by now, right? Okay, Jennifer. Whew. Okay, Priscilla. Thank you, Candy. It was a little touch and go there for a second. Thank you, my Kia. Okay? Thank you. So one of my favorite clarifying shampoos is going to be Paul Mitchell. Okay, that's my ultimate favorite. If ever I can't find the Paul Mitchell shampoo, the clarifying shampoo 1, 2, or 3. 2 is what I use most often, but 3 is what I use for clients who are consistent, who are who swim often. Okay, so if you have a kid that's a swimmer, if they, I'm sorry. I use the 3 when a client swims but doesn't swim often. I'm sorry. I use the shampoo 2 for clients who are constantly swimming. What's the sequence of using protein after a clarifying shampoo, though? Thank you for asking, Candy. Let's ask Facebook or YouTube. Okay. What's the consequence? What do you think the consequence is? Tell me what protein does first? No, Facebook, YouTube, not you. Candy, tell me what protein does for your hair. We're waiting for Candy. It strengthens the bonds. It makes your hair stronger, right, Candy? Okay. So if you are going to first use a shampoo that makes your hair dry, right? All of the lubricant, any moisture, any oil that might be left on your hair or scalp, your clarifying shampoo is stripping your hair of that, right? So you use a clarifying shampoo first, which makes your hair dry. You follow up with a protein focused shampoo, which makes your hair strong. What do you think is going to happen to that hair? If your hair is both dry and a lot more resistant now because of the protein. Becomes brittle, and brittle hair leads to what? There we go, Kay. Brittle hair breaks, right? Very little flexibility. Brittle hair breaks. Okay. So when you think about using a clarifying shampoo, you might experience breakage even when you're detangling and right after you've shampooed and conditioned it, not just when you're styling it. Okay. You can't put a strengthening shampoo and definitely not strengthening shampoo and conditioner after you use the clarifying shampoo. You go to deplete your hair of all of the moisture that it needs to also be flexible. Okay. So anytime you use a clarifying shampoo, immediately after you are to use or a hiding shampoo, there is only one instance, there's only one scenario where using a protein focused shampoo after using a clarifying shampoo is what I would do. There's only one instance. Can you think of what the one time where it's okay to use a protein focused shampoo after using a clarifying shampoo? What's the one exception to the rule you think? I would probably bet my last dollar that none of you would be able to guess it. I would bet my last dollar that none of you would be able to guess it. What's the one exception to the rule to using a clarifying shampoo? I'm sorry, to using a protein focused shampoo after using a clarifying shampoo? After a relaxer? Anybody else? Hey, Latasha. Priscilla? Chantel? Nope. Candy? Nope. Candy, I'll give y'all Candy's guesses after Facebook and YouTube do some of their work. Nope. Okay, you want to guess? Nope. Miss Music says a hot oil treatment. Candy says a chemical treatment after a relaxer. The only time that I have used a protein focused shampoo after using a clarifying shampoo is on a client who is in the midst of their postpartum transition with their hair. Here's why I do that. So for some clients, right, in their postpartum, like when they're in the thick of their postpartum, for some clients in the thick of their postpartum, their body is overproducing yeast or overproducing sebum, and so they have a super flaky scalp, right? But because they're in the transition, as their hair starts to grow post baby, it is literally like what's the two different textures we used to call it? Hair that's transitioning. right? That line of demarcation is heavy on a client who is thick in their postpartum. So because of the what's going on with the scalp, I will either use a clarifying shampoo with our shampoo shots in it, or I will use a medicated shampoo, right? Which is really stripping. And then because the majority of the hair is still kind of like mushy, right? That old hair that they had that was long and luscious while they were pregnant, because that hair is kind of mushy, I will use a protein focused shampoo, but then I always end with a moisture focused conditioner. That's the only time I will use a protein focused shampoo after using a clarifying shampoo, is when a client is in the thick of their postpartum and the majority of their hair is still kind of mushy and that new hair is growing in. It's the only time. Okay. So, yes, balance is going to be essential to making sure your hair stays whole. Hey, boss, balance is going to be essential to making sure you or your client's hair stays whole from root to tip, right? Moisture makes sure that there is flexibility, but protein is essential to your moisture. I'm sorry, I forgot to give y'all the other one. So yes, using a clarifying shampoo will help your hair absorb moisture from your shampoo and your conditioner a lot better. And then deep conditioning is also going to be a way to allow your hair to hold on or retain that moisture or softness, especially in the conditioning phase. Okay, so adding the element of heat to your conditioning process, because we do not believe in what around here. Kay, don't say nothing yet. I know you know the answer, Kay. Don't say nothing yet. We do not believe in what around here? I feel like Miss Love Music knows the answer. Priscilla might too. We do not believe in what around here? Not quite, Miss Love Music. I just suggested deep conditioning. I just suggested deep conditioning. We believe in deep conditioning around here. There we go, Miss Flawless Hair Care. We do not believe in deep conditioners around here. Why? Because if the brand did not invest enough money in their research and development and making a really good conditioner for you, do not give them more money by way of a deep conditioner. And deep conditioning, right? The element of heat. Hey, Soraya, adding the element of heat to your conditioning process, okay, raises the cuticle on the hair strand and allows for your conditioner to penetrate deeper into the hair strand and work from the inside out. Okay. I believe in deep conditioning. I do not believe in deep conditioners. Okay. We will never sell you, promote to you any deep conditioners ever. Okay. Can we talk about protein? We've talked about moisture. Can we talk about protein? If we're ready to talk about protein, comment ready. If we're ready to talk about protein, comment ready. Hey, boss. Or do we already know how protein plays a part? All right, Candy. Candy's the only one ready. We're gonna talk to just Candy right now. Okay, Kay's in here too. All right, Miss Flawless Hair Care. Here's how protein is essential. Hey, LaShara. Here's how protein is essential to making sure your hair is going to be able to retain moisture. Okay, this sleeve up. This is a hair strand. Okay, this is your hair strand. Mish, LaShara, this is your hair strand. Okay, from root to tip, this is a hair strand. The older your hair gets, right, closer to the ends, the older your hair gets, the more wear and tear, the more twisting, braiding, right, rubbing on your shirt, rubbing on your hat, rubbing on your hand. The older it gets, the more rubbing or friction your hair experiences, the more dips, nicks, and grooves you get in your hair strand. Okay. The older it gets, the more dips, nicks, and grooves in your hair strand it gets. That is protein or keratin loss, right? So the older your hair gets, the more manipulation it occurs, the more friction, the more touching, the more brushing, the more combing, the more protein you lose, right? And protein loss creates dips, nicks, and grooves in the hair strand, right? So there's little holes on the hair strand. The older it gets, the more we manipulate it. Here's what happens if my Kia takes a moisture focused shampoo and a moisture focused conditioner, and she exclusively uses that for 3 to 4 months. She is just going to be coating the nicks, dips, and grooves. She's just going to be coating the breakage. She's just going to be coating the keratin that's lost. What happens when there's nicks, dips, and grooves, and all you do is coat it with moisture? What happens to the hair strand? We don't know. It becomes easier to break, yes, but also you're just putting moisture, oil, butter, right? You're just putting that on top of hair that has holes in it, essentially. So when you go to touch your hair, it's still going to feel rough to the touch because the nicks, dips, grooves, or little holes of missing keratin are still very much so there. Okay? How do you make sure that you feel hair that is smooth, that you have a much more easy detangle process? You have to use protein or keratin focused shampoos, conditioners, leave-in conditioners. Keratin is another word for protein. Sometimes keratin can be used to indicate that it's a more potent form of protein, but keratin and protein are essentially mean the same thing. Okay, so if my Kia is only using moisture focused shampoos and conditioners, and she's not taking a care of or replacing, filling in the gaps or holes, she's not filling in the nicks, the dips, and the grooves, she's not filling in the protein, she's just lathering and making a coating on outside of the holes or gaps in the hair strand. She's still going to feel roughness, right? And what is my Kia likely going to do if she still feels like her hair is rough? If my Kia only focuses on moisture, she does not pay attention to the fact that her hair is losing protein or keratin, and every time she goes to touch her hair still feels rough because she's just putting a coating on top of hair that is rough because it's lost its keratin or protein, that has breaks in it because it's lost its keratin or protein. What do you think my Kia, is going to continue to keep doing? My Kia is going to keep deep conditioning. She's going to keep using moisture because her brain is telling her her hair still feels dry. She's going to keep thinking she needs more moisture. 100%, Candy, 100%. Which is why using both moisture and protein every single wash day is essential. Because if my Kia is forget for whatever reason or reasons, right, to use a more aggressive approach to protein or keratin loss, then at least if she keeps with the rule that she should be using moisture and protein every wash day, she's at least given herself a little bit of protein, even if it's just in her leave-in conditioner. Okay? So when you use a protein or a keratin focused product, right? When you use a protein focused shampoo and or conditioner, a protein focused leave-in conditioner, it helps to fill in the gaps of protein that you lose. The older your hair gets, the more wear and tear it goes through. Okay, That makes it easy when my Kia does use her moisture focused shampoos and conditioners to go over a hair strand that is whole and does not have cuts or nicks and grooves in it. Do we understand that a little bit about how protein helps you retain moisture? Okay, good. Okay, good. Now, yesterday, I gave away a guide that helps you. It's wintertime now, right? The air is drier. Excuse me, the air is drier. It's colder outside, again, making your hair less flexible. I told them yesterday that they could get a guide telling you how to integrate protein into your regimen in the months that in the cooler months, excuse me, right? So in the wintertime, I created a guide showing you how you can use both moisture and protein um, in a way that is still that makes sense, but it's still conducive to your hair being flexible. If you want the guide, just put your hand up in the comments. Just put your hand up in the comments and I'll tell you how to get the guide. But that is going to be the importance of creating balance for your hair, right? Making sure that moisture creates a nice slip in your detangle process, creates a nice slip in your brush, in your comb. Whenever someone is braiding, twisting, bantu knotting your hair, moisture makes sure that there's nice slip there, right? Protein makes sure that your hair has some grit. That again, those nicks, dips, and or grooves in the hair strand don't become pure cracks and breakage. Okay. Miss Flawless Hair and Jasmine, when we're done with class, I'm going to DM because it's just the two of you guys who want the guide. When we're done with class, I'm going to DM the two of you how to get the guide. Okay. Okay, that's the importance, excuse me, of creating consistency. Sarai, you already got the guide. I know you got the guide. Chantel, why your hair so white? That is going to be the importance of creating consistency and balance for your hair. Okay. Now the D is for what? What can we assume that the D is for? Can you take a guess what the D is for? Me says, I have the guide. Mish, have you used the guide? Oh, I told y'all what it was for, didn't I, Kay? I told you what it was for, didn't I, Kay? I gave it away then. Text. Winter. All right, Mish. The guide is good, girl. Chantel, you didn't get it yesterday? Okay, here. We're going to do this. Are we ready? Now, this is exclusively for the winter, okay? You're going to text 347-802-0953. Hey, boss. Excellent. Mish, after you follow the guide for a month or two, let me know if you notice a difference in your hair. Would you do a guide for warmer weather? 100%. We just talked about that the other day, Kay. I got you. Yeah, but Mish, it's still so in the summer it's more humid, in the winter it's less humid, I imagine, right? Maybe it's not in Florida, it's not ever going to not be humid. But if it's going to be less humid, then your hair also does have to adjust to less moisture, right? So I would still consider at least using the guide for 1 to 2 months. And if you do not notice a difference in your hair for the positive, right? Come back, circle back with me, let me know, and we'll figure something else out specifically for you. Okay. How does diet come into play? How does diet come into play when you are looking to retain length? I will tell you this, okay? Eating more protein and drinking more water is way more essential to your healthy hair goals than mashing up an avocado, a banana, and some honey and putting it in your hair. Eat what's good for your body. Don't just put what's good for your body on your hair. Okay? A lot come from a world, we might not be doing this now because we've outgrown it, but we come from a world of YouTube, right? With all the YouTube girls was telling you how to make your own hair mask, how to make your own deep conditioner, how to make your own this, make your own that, mash this, blend that, and put it. If this made my hair grow, right? Eating and drinking more water, an instant gratification error, 100% Candy. Eating more water, drinking more water and eating more protein is going to lend its hand to you being able to experience a nice growth spurt far more than just putting mashed avocado or mashed, my brain was about to say mashed potato, mashed banana in your hair, okay? If you are feeding your body well, if you are conscious of the things that you are putting inside of your body, it makes it a lot easier for your body not to be fighting, and leaves room for your body to want to give your hair excess protein, excess moisture. Okay, I did, but I'm not sure how I didn't get it. I'm in Trinidad. Chantel, if you texted Winter to the 347-802-0953, and for whatever reason it didn't give you back the guide, then just send me a DM and I'll send it to you directly, okay? 100%, Candy. It starts from within. It starts from within. If you are taking good care of your body, it just makes it easier for your body to support a growth spurt for you, right? Which makes it easy for you to want to be consistent with your trim schedule, because then it doesn't feel like you've missed any length, really. If your hair is rapidly growing, if it's constantly growing, then when you are consistent with your trim schedule, it doesn't feel like you've lost any length. 100%. So Mish says, I also heard that iron and vitamin D deficiency impacts hair growth. So also take your vitamins. Eat your vitamins. My suggestion is always going to be eat your vitamins. If you have to take a supplement, then sure, have at it. But eat your vitamins, yo. Go outside. Get in the sun. Vitamin D deficiencies, iron deficiencies, vitamin B, a zinc deficiency, it's not sodium. What's the thing for salt? Shoot. But if your body is also not getting enough iodine, an iodine deficiency, right? An iodine deficiency is the salt one, I believe. But if your body is not getting enough of any of those things, it can directly affect your hair growth. Magnesium. Why magnesium? If your body is not in a restful state and it's always in fight or flight mode, it can't. You're not resting enough for your cells to turn over so that your hair can continue to grow. It's not to say that your hair is not going to grow, but it'll slow down the growth phase. I think sodium is probably the right word, but iodine is the word that I was looking for. But both your vitamins and your minerals, if you are deficient in either vitamins or minerals, you are 100% going to be at risk for not seeing much hair growth. As long as you're alive, your hair is always going to be potassium. Potassium is one, but usually I see discoloration in hair when there is a potassium deficiency. What was I saying just before that? If you have a vitamin and mineral deficiency, you are 100% going to be at risk for not seeing the kind of rapid hair growth that you're probably going to be looking for. There we go. And that's not to say that you need to be using a whole bunch of iodine candy, but I would consider putting a little bit of it in your drinking water every couple of days. And literally just a pinch. Literally just a pinch. Because that'll also help your body to retain more more water. Okay. Consistency, balance, and diet, right? The steps are simple. Putting it into action is going to be the harder piece. So how do I know when my hair needs moisture versus protein? And you want to sit with a healthy hair care professional so that they are helping guide you toward what your hair currently feels like and what it could or should feel like, right? I can't tell you from across this screen, Soraya, if your hair is on the drier side right now or if your hair is on the more moist side. But here's what I will say, okay? If you are currently using a moisture-focused shampoo, conditioner, and leave-in conditioner, if you are currently using a protein-focused shampoo, conditioner, and leave-in conditioner, my rule is if you don't know what your hair needs, my suggestion would be for you to purchase the balance kit. But at the very least, if you're not interested, or if now is not the right time for you to get the balance kit, at the very least, at least consider switching your shampoo and conditioner every 2 to 3 wash days. I wanted to rely on CMOS for complete iodine. I didn't realize that CMOS contained iodine. Not, but I wasn't consistent. I love that you caught that. I love that you caught that. Okay. If you are using moisture focused shampoos, conditioners, and leave-in conditioners, or exclusively protein focused shampoos, conditioners, and leave-in conditioners right now, my suggestion is use them for 2 to 3 wash days in a row, and then you have to make a switch. That will buy you some time, at least until you can sit in a professional's chair so that they can guide you towards a much more customized wash day routine. Okay. But the guide breaks down by hair type, fine, medium, and coarse what your wash day could look like if you're integrating both moisture and protein into your regimen. Okay. Did we learn something new today? Did we learn something new today? Miss Love Music, did you get an answer to your question about the balance kit? Any of the products that we're talking about outside of the Hello Hydration by Herbal Essence and the Apogee, the Joico products, my favorite moisture-focused leave-in conditioner, my favorite protein-focused shampoos and conditioners, all of that you can find on www.texturedpress.com. Okay? All of that you can find on www.texturedpress.com. I'll be live again tomorrow. Or maybe tonight. I'll be live again definitely tomorrow, but maybe tonight. Chantel, did you get your guide? Did you get the guide? Soraya is asking, can she deep condition and steam on the same day? At home, Soraya, are you asking if at home you can deep condition and steam on the same day? If you can deep condition and do a steam treatment on the same day? We're going to talk Soraya through this first, and then we're all going to get out of here. We ready? Soraya is asking, can I deep condition and steam on the same day? What is our answer for her? What's our suggestion for her, for Soraya? Soraya is asking, can she deep condition and steam on the same wash day? What is your suggestion for Soraya? Nobody knows. That makes me nervous. I am pretty sure that's the right. So, and means that we're doing two. Thank you, Miss Love Music. Thank you, Miss Love Music. Should anyone be doing a steam treatment at home? If you're following the texture press guideline, should anyone be doing a steam treatment at home? Thank you, Kay. So, Soraya, should you be doing a steam treatment at home? No, right? And if the suggestion is not for you to do a steam treatment at home, but I do believe in deep conditioning, then what is the thing that you can do at home? Miss Love Music, I really appreciate you helping your classmates out. I really appreciate you paying attention. I imagine taking notes or at least retaining the information because it's very helpful when I don't catch questions like this. I'm more than happy for you guys to help hop in, excuse me, and help one of your classmates out. Soraya, what are you saying no to? There's a lag in Facebook where you in Facebook. So tell me what you're saying no to, Soraya. What if you're the sole person doing your hair? I'm a licensed cosmo. I take care of our hair. The reason why I say no treatments at home is because you're not a professional and so you don't know when your hair needs one versus the other. And because a treatment is more potent, right? Because a treatment is more potent, no, the client should not be doing them at home. But if you're a cosmetologist, if you're a licensed professional and you know hair, then you have at it. She cannot do both, Chantel. First of all, we do not do treatments at home. That's number one. Number two, even if I was okay with everybody doing treatments at home, why would you deep condition and do a steam treatment? Your deep conditioning is the steam treatment. You're sitting up underneath the steamer with conditioner on your hair, heat coming out of the machine, water being pumped into your hair while the conditioner is deeper penetrating. You should not, that's going to be such a waste of your time to steam, because I imagine you're going to steam it first, rinse it out, and then sit up underneath a hooded dryer or a hot bonnet and deep condition. When you have a steam treatment done, you do it with a professional. If you need to deep condition, you do that at home on your own. Okay, one singular process. So how do you deep condition? You shampoo, rinse your shampoo, you apply your conditioner, you apply some heat to your conditioning process, you rinse and do what you would typically do. Excuse me. Even when someone uses deep conditioners, right? When clients are new and they come into Texture Press and I ask them, like what shampooing and conditioning usually looks like. They're like, oh, I usually will deep condition like at least once a month, but so I try to do every 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, well, what does deep conditioning usually look like? And they're often like, oh, I shampoo, I apply my conditioner to detangle my hair, and then I put my deep conditioner on, and I usually leave it for about like 30 minutes. Why are you conditioning and then deep conditioning? What is the point of the deep conditioner? What is the point of spending the additional $27 if you can't use that to detangle? My job is to save you both time and money. And if you want to do that, if you would like to save both time and money, then please hear me when I say you should not have to condition twice on wash day. Something is either wrong with your product or wrong with your process if you feel the need to condition twice on wash day. Somebody cue Olaplex's 3-piece system, the 3, 4, and 5. Who said that? Yeah. If your hair needs a little more TLC by way of its conditioner, you shampoo thoroughly, apply the conditioner, sit up underneath the heat cap, or if you're in the salon, sit up underneath the steamer, sit up underneath the dryer if it's going to be like a protein kind of treatment. That's it. Okay? Okay. Now, everybody got their guide. I'm hopeful. I don't need to DM anybody. We got our guides. In 30 to 60 days, circle back to me, circle back to Texture Press, hop on one of the lives, and let me know if you feel as though it made a difference for your hair. Okay? I'll be back here tomorrow, or either tonight or tomorrow. If you are not home, get home safe. If you are home, stay safe, and I will talk to y'all later.